It was the 4th of July. This was the height of all of the panic and hysteria surrounding the lockdowns.
I've been looking forward to this shit all my fucking life.
I ended up at the Target store that day. I'd heard on the radio on the way over, there's no barbecues, there's no parties, there's no fun, there's no nothing. And I just saw the mask display.
Target? I'm not playing any more fucking games.
And I lost it.
This shit's over, this shit's over, this shit's over, this shit's over.
I guess the point I was trying to make was that I was not feeling seen, I was not feeling heard. I felt like my freedoms and everything that I had worked for was being taken away from me and I couldn't stop it.
This shit's fucking over.
The stuff that I was saying, was just intelligible, like it didn't even make sense.
Does everybody else do it? Well, I can't do it because I'm a blonde white woman? Fucking wearing a fucking $40,000 fucking Rolex? I don't have the fucking right to fuck shit up?
The rest, I guess, was history. 10, 15 million views later, now I'm famous. I first heard about the pandemic quite a few weeks before most people. It was January 27th. I was on my way home from opening Nobu here in Scottsdale, probably the best night of my life, biggest night of my career. My brother called me up, I'll never forget. He said, hey, there's a situation down here in China and it's coming to the US and it's very scary. I just started Googling stuff online, pandemic hoax, COVID hoax, and at the same time, people started to send links. So I just started clicking on everything. And you start watching like a video on YouTube, for example, and then, it goes into the next one and it goes into the next one. It really all begins with that one click. Really what QAnon is, it's an apocalyptic cult that preys upon your deepest, darkest fears and leads you to believe and convinces you that the worst outcomes for humanity are imminent. I have always been very natural health oriented, very wellness oriented, very into spirituality, very into, Ayurvedic healing. A lot of the ways that the QAnon information got disseminated, especially to women, I feel like, is through those channels. So, you'd click on a video about foods to eat, to keep yourself healthy and boost your immunity in the pandemic, and it would end up being something about how deadly vaccines are. The content would really shift quickly, but once you'd click on it, the next 10 videos would be about how there is an imminent genocide being purported by the New World Order under the guise of a health crisis. I really aligned with the spiritual stuff, with we are on the dawn of the age of Aquarius. We're on the precipice of a big change in humanity, this great reset. The world is going to change in a really positive way. We, at some point along the line, are going to be aided by benevolent spirits and aliens, basically. And I could prove it, and I was showing that in my stories. I realize now, for people looking at it and not knowing what is going on in my head, it probably looked really bizarre. I've been in corporate PR for my entire career, and for once I really felt like I was storytelling something, interesting and creative, that I wasn't being tamped down. I was on QAnon like it was my job. I mean, I'm a busy type A person, and all of a sudden I had nothing to do with myself. People are like, well, why didn't you just go work out? Or why didn't you go, learn a new hobby or learn a new language and stuff? And it's like, well, I was petrified of the pandemic and everything and all of these crazy ideas about this genocide that was before us. How could I possibly get on the Peloton when, I have Nazis to fight? Seriously, that's how I felt. I think this is better. What would it have been like for you 6 months ago watching Joe Biden be inaugurated? Would you have perhaps even traveled to Washington to demonstrate if you were still in the QAnon world? When you go down that rabbit hole and you're stuck in the QAnon echo chamber, all you can think about is the worst possible outcomes for this country and ultimately for humanity. And getting out of that, all I can see is is a positive future, no matter who is in office. My interest and involvement in QAnon really put a strain on my marriage quickly. It was all I could think about. It was all I could talk about. My husband, sat me down and he was like, I feel like we're losing you. This is scary. I need you to snap out of it. This is nuts. I wasn't having any of it because one of the things that, the cult does and why QAnon acts like a cult, operates like a cult, it convinces you to not trust any of the people that you would trust, especially if they come to you and tell you that what you're doing is wrong.
You don't have clearance. You don't have clearance.
Okay.
You don't.
You're a spokesperson,
Yeah.
correct?
For the White House. Yeah.
Okay.
Call Donald Trump and ask him if you don't believe me.
Do you have his phone number?
Do I have his phone number? I'm on the phone with him all the time. I'm fucking wired.
I lost touch with reality in every understanding of what that means. I could not comprehend what was happening. There was just something so delicious for people to observe somebody having a mental health breakdown, and it's really sad.
I'm gonna have you spin around and just put your phone down.
What?
Okay? I need you to put your phone down.
Oh my God.
I'm not in the mental health profession, but I can tell you, if you sit down with a doctor and start telling them there are reptilians in the government, they are going to hospitalize you. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I walked into this mental health evaluation facility and it was full of drug addicts and homeless people, it was such a far cry from, where I had come from. That was a wake-up call. It wasn't until, I had actually left the hospitalization and, realized I had been canceled. My husband actually filed for divorce. It occurred to me that something is very wrong, with my health. That's, really when I had a soul-searching moment and I was like, I need help for this. I can't do this on my own. I want to do it on my own, but I can't do it on my own. If I could tell you the level of hateful communication that I would get every single day on my phone for months, kill yourself, I hope you die, here are instructions on how to kill yourself, I put a spell on your 2 little dogs and they're gonna die tonight. I didn't want to exist. Let alone go to the grocery store or get my nails done. And I got a phone call about a month and a half later while I was still in the treatment program. A very well-known, prominent real estate developer said, hey, Melissa, I'm gonna be in town next week and I want you on the team. And I was like, are you kidding? Have you been living under a rock for the last 8 weeks? Nobody wants to work with me. Haven't you heard? I'm done. I'm canceled. And he's like, oh yeah, I've heard, I've seen it. I don't care. I got off the phone and I was like, oh my God, he's right. I didn't want to live in a hole, I didn't want to live in a hole, but I didn't know what to do. And I wanted to keep going and I wanted to empower other people and show other people how I did it because it was not easy. And it's not something that anybody else can do for you. I had to do it myself. I had to uncancel myself. It's the perfect brand for me because I am really the first person to own crazy. I have a book deal, which will be multiple books. I know it will be a bestseller. I have a television series that's a reality show style thing. I sold film rights to my life to a big studio in Hollywood. So, I guess my life is really just beginning.
Why do you deserve a second chance?
I deserve a second chance because I'm a good person. And I believe, everybody deserves a second chance if they are indeed good people and they do the necessary work to better themselves if they've screwed up. People have such varied opinions about me. It really hurts my feelings when people say that I'm this, entitled, spoiled person. They took one look at what happened on that day and they didn't know anything about who I was before. They see what I look like. They see the Rolex or whatever, and they make a judgment. I think I'm very easy to hate. At first glance, I guess.